Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in March. This month was actually really good, surprisingly, because I read 11 books, and the past few months in 2024 so far, I've only read like 4 or 5 books, which isn't bad, but for me personally, I read around 10 books a month, and so I was a little concerned for a little bit in the beginning of this year, but finally I am back to my regular reading. I think I was in a little bit of a reading slump, but I have my reading journal here, and I basically am talking about all of these books. I have 2 pages filled out of the books. I did miss one on here just because I literally just finished that book before I turned on the camera, so I don't have it in here yet, but I do have my thoughts and stuff on it. So let's get right into it. The first book I read this month was The Lake by Natasha Preston. The book was probably my least favorite by her so far because I read The Island and The Twin by her as well last year, and I really liked those two. I thought they were really good. This one is just, I do not remember her writing being like this. I don't know, it's just very childish, I feel like. I gave it a 2 stars, and yeah, it's just a thriller. It's about 2 girls, they're best friends. They went to a camp when they were younger. Something really bad happened, and so now, like 10 or so years later, they're invited to go back as camp counselors. So they take the opportunity, just do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go there. It reminds me a lot of the plot of The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, except that's only one girl going back, but this one we have 2 best friends. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, go for it, but I feel like it is for a younger audience, but yeah, it was okay. I read my second book by him, and this author is Alan Grant. This one is Allies. I read another book by him in school for a few years ago, and I really love that book, so I wanted to give another one of his a try, and I'm so happy I did. I gave it 3.75 stars. I know I'm a little bit picky about that, but I feel like it was just not as good as the first one I read by him, which I gave a 4.5 stars. So I just settled on this rating. It was really good. We follow 4 different people. So we follow Dee, which he is a soldier. She works as a spy. James, he is a pilot, and then Henry is a medic. So we're following all those different characters at the day of D-Day. So it's very interesting. We follow a lot of different characters. This is a historical fiction, by the way. And I really just love his writing, and his character studies is kind of what we're doing, like studying these characters while they're in this tragic scenario. So yeah, it was just really good. I definitely recommend his books, especially to a younger audience as well, just because it is really easy to understand. And then I read The Beast is an Animal by Peter Nell van Ersledale. No idea if I said that right, but I read this book, and honestly I don't remember much about it. Book a 3.5 stars. I do think it was good. I just think that the writing was good, the storyline was good, but I didn't really fall in love with any of the characters, and I thought the ending was a little weird. I'm gonna read to you one quote that I really liked, and I put in my notebook here. So, "This was happiness. This was what it felt like to be happy, to be grateful for your own skin and bones, to believe you had a place in the world, and you were loved completely, all parts of you, light and dark, and to love someone back completely." And there's a lot of lines in this book, but I feel like the ending is just what made it bad for me. I don't know, I just didn't like the ending very much, but it was really good. I honestly don't know how to describe it. It reminds me a lot of like Gallant by V. Schwab. I don't know how else to describe it, except it's like there's ghosts and there's just this like magical beings. I don't know, it's so strange. I do recommend it if you like that quote. If you don't like the writing that I just read to you, probably not, because it's a whole lot of just that stuff, but it is very young adult as well, so I do recommend this one. This is a book you guys have been begging me to read ever since I started this channel, honestly, and that is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. A lot of people are gonna be a little shocked when I say this, but I gave this book a 4 stars. I loved it, but I didn't love it, okay? It gave me very similar vibes to Once Upon a Broken Heart series. which I love personally, but I just love the characters of that series so much that these characters just, I don't love these characters. I really like Jax, don't get me wrong. Evangeline, not so much. And the other side characters, I didn't love any, like, I didn't love any character, honestly. And I didn't really cry. Like, I felt sad for what happened, believe me. But did I cry? No, not really, because I was not very connected to that character, if you know what I mean, if you read the book. So yeah, I don't know, I just liked it. I didn't think it was anything special. I do think if you liked Once Upon a Broken Heart, definitely give this off, because there's balls and like kind of that magical feeling that that series gave me, but just not the same world and the characters that I love from like that book. The next one is, should I say it's my favorite book of the month? I think so, which is The Great Alone by Kristina Hannah. I've heard this author so many times. I've heard her books are amazing. I've heard her writing is amazing. That I just was scared to pick up actual one of her books. And this one was just sitting on my shelf and I was like, let's give it a try. And I gave it a 5 stars. I gave it a 5 stars. I love this book so much. It's kind of a literary fiction, but but also kind of like a mystery kind of like side plot almost. But we're following this family and they decide out of randomly just to move to Alaska. I know it sounds kind of boring right now, but it gets so good and there's so much more than that to it. The writing is beautiful, the storyline, the characters. I cried at the end. I cried so hard. It was just, I really loved the ending. I really did love it because it was what I wanted to happen. And when like you want something so bad to happen at the end of a book, but then it doesn't happen. Imagine it did happen, and that was this book. Guys, I love this book so much. I'm gonna read a line just because, oh my goodness. Okay. So good. Oh my goodness. Okay. Love and fear, the most destructive forces on earth. Fear had turned her inside out. Love had made her stupid. I mean, if you love that book so much, I think it's so good. If you love literary fiction and you haven't picked it up yet, please do. Please do. Because I cried. I was happy. I was angry. Moving on. Book that I just kind of recently picked up and it was kind of random and out of the blue, but The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. No idea what happened to this part of the book. Like, I don't know, but because I didn't do it, I don't know what happened. Anyways, this is a kind of a fiction, but like fantasy. This one is kind of like a fiction, but also there's like ghosts involved, so like take that with what you will. But I give this book a 2 stars. Honestly, I forgot most about what this book is about. It's basically about this kid. His name is Nobody Owens. His family was brutally murdered, and now he just lives in a graveyard with a bunch of ghosts. The first chapter was probably the best thing about this whole book, and that was about it. Yeah, honestly, don't really recommend this book. I was bored and I actually should have DNF'd it, but I didn't, so there's that. Next is the first book in a duology, which is EXO by Fonda Lee. She also wrote the Jade City series, I'm pretty sure, which is a very popular sci-fi series. But this one is basically about this guy named Donovan Reyes, and he's the son of like this kind of the president, I guess, of this like district that we have going on. Honestly, I don't really know. All I know is that I liked the world and I liked the characters. So I got the second book. It's coming in the mail and I'm excited to start it, but I gave it a 3 stars. Honestly, there's not much else I can say about it. It's just a normal dystopian sci-fi book. There's a lot of politics in this and world building. A little bit over 300 pages, very short, very easy to read. I actually do really recommend this one and I'm really excited to continue this duology. Decided to pick up another Mitch Albom book, which if you don't know, he wrote he wrote this book, The 5 People We Meet in Heaven, which I read last year and gave it 5 stars. Love this book so much. But I decided to pick up The Timekeeper. This one is basically, we follow Father Time and 2 different other characters that we're just kind of seeing their lives about. And I almost cried at the end because it was actually kind of sad, one part. But this is kind of like a fiction with like twist on like magical realism, I guess. The girl in this book that we follow, one of the other characters, was literally so stupid. She was like 18 years old, 19 maybe. She was so stupid. So stupid. That really ruined the book for me, honestly. So I gave it a 3.5 stars, but I'm gonna read you a quote just because I do actually really like his writing a lot. Okay, so there is a reason God limits our days. Why? To make each one precious? Like, come on. And then, for the first time in his adult life, he wanted to go backwards. Good. I love his writing, love his characters, love the world that he builds in such a short book. It's like literally less than 200 pages. Like, come on, please pick up one of his books. I love his writing so much. I read Aragon, which is the first book in the Inheritance Cycle series. I don't know how many books there are. I think there's 4. I like this book. Way too long though. If you like The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, please read this because there's dragons and there's just long journeys on horses and a lot of world building and politics that go into this book. See, I liked it. There was just nothing really special about this, and I don't think I'm gonna think about it ever. This boy, his name is Aragon, which at first, looking at the cover, I thought it was a dragon's name, but it's not. Anyways, Aragon finds this stone. Let's just say something happens to that stone, and his life changes. So it's very interesting, you know, it's very interesting. A whole lot happens. Just, it was okay. 2.5 stars. So you guys will be very happy about. I read The Cruel Prince by Hallie Back, and sadly I gave this book a 3 stars. I know people say the first book is just not as good as the second or third, which I'm hoping that is true because I really want to continue it, because I really want to see where the storyline continues. I liked it. It was just, I did not like Cardan. I'm confused on why everybody loves him so much. I know he was mistreated and stuff, but like, still, you don't have to do that back to other people. I don't want to know. I'm just debating on continuing it or not. Please tell me if I should continue the series or not, just because I didn't love this book, honestly. But I'm gonna read you a quote anyways. So, but I will not stand in front of your happiness. I will not even stand in front of your misery that you choose for yourself. So Cardan says that, so I love that, but that was the only thing I liked about him. Next, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This was the book I literally just finished before filming this, and this book, it reminds me a lot of The Great Alone with like the writing, but the storyline was so interesting and the characters were so just, it was kind of like a character study, and I loved how many like characters we got in this one book. It was just so good because we got so many different characters in this like family, and it was so good. Honestly, it was really good. I gave this book a 4 stars, by the way. And basically it's about these 2 twin sisters. They kind of grew up together in this really small town, but once they got older, they started to think about running away together and starting a new life in a bigger city perhaps, or just somewhere bigger than this really small town. And that's what they did. And somehow they got separated, and we just start following their kids, their families, their separate lives, but then we also see something happen at the end. It was so good. So good. So good. 4 stars. I really like this one. Just a little slow at times, but so good. I loved how the author pieced everything together in the end. Really, really good with that one. Okay guys, that was the 11 books that I read in March. Please tell me if you've read any of these books and what are your thoughts. Tell me what you read in March. How many books did you read? I'm so happy with this reading month because I read fantasy and literary fiction and sci-fi and just so many different things that honestly I wouldn't see myself reading. And I've been trying to do my physical TBR and just get stuff done with that. So that's what I'm doing. And I really am happy with how this month turned out. These are the books I read in March. Please let me know what you read. I love you guys so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!